We have another round of severe weather possible as we get into the weekend of April 15th. I'm certified meteorologist Jonathan Kegges, and in this video, we are going to talk about the risk area. Then I'm going to show you future radar to how the event can unfold through parts of the Deep South and Midwest. And then as we get into Sunday, that threat is going to move from the nation's heartland and pushing into the southeast a little bit, into the southeast coast, and then also into Florida. So we are going to break that down and also look at the upper levels of our atmosphere to show you what exactly is fueling this. Hey, before we get into the video, hurricane season is right around the corner. If you want to stay updated on all things tropical meteorology, all things hurricane season, you have to hit subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up button as well. We really appreciate that. All right, let's get into the video now as we look at the risk area, and we have that enhanced risk from the Storm Prediction Center. They have that scale from 1 out of 5, 1 being marginal, that light green color that's just to the west of Chicago and Iowa City. And then it goes up to level 2, that slight area, that yellow area from about St. Louis into Springfield, Missouri, down towards Shreveport, just to the north of us in New Orleans. And then we have that level 3, that enhanced risk. And that's when we start talking about more of a higher grade severe weather threat. And I'll show you future radar coming up in just a second here. And you see from just southeast of Springfield into Little Rock. So really a lot of Arkansas included in this. And on the north side of Shreveport, that's where we have that enhanced risk, where we could have the more destructive thunderstorms, the more widespread thunderstorms. So this is how it looks from a future radar perspective. This is what the radar could look like as we move into Saturday, April 15th through the afternoon. So we're going to fast forward to 2 o'clock, and you see just a few scattered showers and thunderstorms around that area of low pressure going to be hanging around right about there. Watch what happens, though. You see this big explosion start to erupt as we get beyond 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock Central Time. We're looking at 5 now. We have some scattered thunderstorms in southeast Iowa into the western part of Missouri. But look at down here. Remember I showed you that enhanced risk area? Notice all these little isolated guys, some really beefy thunderstorms, a darker purple there that's kind of blasting the screen. That is where we will have the opportunity for some really nasty weather, potential for some stronger tornadoes as well. Little Rock sitting about right here, so that's northwest of Little Rock. And then quickly, though, it looks like this is going to congeal into a line. Now, I always talk about it if you follow this channel, that once we get these into a line, it doesn't completely end the tornado threat. But what it does, it limits, more often than not anyway, it lowers the shot of those long-track tornadoes. Again, those tornadoes like to be discrete, isolated by themselves. They're selfish. They like to take advantage of the environment and like to have that all to themselves. Well, there's a bunch of storms competing. That threat kind of goes down just a little bit. Certainly not zero. So again, something to pay attention to. We're fast forwarding now to 11 o'clock Saturday night, April 15th. The line is certainly weakening, but still towards Peoria, central Illinois, down to the Kentucky border, along the Mississippi River, getting into Memphis. Could be some nasty, damaging winds at this time. Still a brief tornado threat with us as we get towards the latter stages of Saturday into early Sunday, but certainly there's going to be a weakening trend. Here's 2 o'clock on Sunday now. Notice towards, now beyond Memphis, Nashville sitting about right here towards Tupelo into Jackson. We'll see that damaging wind threat kind of surge into parts of the Tennessee River Valley, down the Mississippi River, and then into parts of the Deep South. So what is happening here? This upper low is that little thing that we were talking about in a previous video that was hanging out in the North Gulf Coast. That's kind of lift into the north and east. We're focused on this guy out here, this big dip in the jet stream. I'm going to bring out my trusty line here and kind of draw that dip. There's our upper low as it's situated here. As we move into Saturday afternoon and evening, starts to dig a little bit into a more unstable atmosphere, a moist, I know people hate that word, but it's a very conducive environment anyway to get thunderstorms to erupt. And this is kind of the trigger here, this big upper low that's going to slide on through. As we move into the evening and overnight, it gets that negative tilt, as we always talk about. And again, when an upper level system is oriented from the northwest to the south and east, it increases the temperature gradient. When you have the bigger differences in temperature, you can generate more instability with those. So there is our upper low. And then conceivably, as we move into Sunday, that's where the severe threat kind of moves more into the mid-Atlantic, parts of the Midwest, and then even into the southeast corner of the United States, including Florida. So that severe weather threat on Sunday, it's a little bit lower than what it is. We might see the risk area and the risk intensity adjust a little bit as we get closer and as we can kind of see some different things come into play in the different modes of severe weather. But in terms of that severe weather threat on Sunday, we're looking at a pretty widespread scale. Notice again, in that marginal category, meaning that we're going to have marginally severe thunderstorms, as we could have storms get close to producing 1-inch size hail or close to 60-mile-per-hour winds with an isolated or a brief tornado in here. Slightly higher opportunity for severe weather in parts of the southeast into areas south of Atlanta, to Augusta, Albany, west of Charleston, South Carolina, more interior South Carolina, and then even down the Florida Peninsula, that marginal risk. So again, the threat isn't sky high, but it's not zero in Florida on Sunday. That's going to be because of a cold front that'll kind of pinpoint here further as we take you out into a more of a longer range model, that high resolution model that I showed you just a few minutes ago for our friends in the Midwest and the Deep South. It only goes out 48 hours. So we're going to fast forward now to Sunday. This is the kind of picking up where we left off with that line of thunderstorms. So again, in and around Memphis by 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, still dealing with the potential for a quick round of heavy rain, maybe some damaging wind. And then as we move forward into the morning, there's 10 o'clock, so some rain falling in Cincy. Look at that also. Twin Cities to the east of Omaha as well, in Iowa, getting in on some snow on the back end of this thing. Atlanta, some rain. The darker yellow represents where we're going to have, relatively speaking anyway, the more intense shower and thunderstorm chances. Then as we get into the afternoon, there is 2 o'clock. Scattered shower and storm chances start to go up into north central Florida, and then towards the evening down the peninsula as we get deeper into, again, the afternoon and evening down the Florida Peninsula. So there you have it. We will keep you posted on the progression of this latest round of severe weather, again, with the highest threat happening in that enhanced risk area, a lot of Arkansas, parts of southern Missouri, northern Louisiana on Saturday, April 15th. Thank you guys a ton for tuning in. If you found this video helpful or informative or just love talking about the weather and love weather content, make sure you subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. We would appreciate that. And we will catch you next time.